This one is a follow-up to yesterday's tarot video. In 2015, a tarot reader, psychic medium worked at the Glen Tavern in Santa Paula, California. His name is Patrick Smith, and professionally he went by the Irish Seer. He came across with an amazing amount of information and messages for people over the years. He had the big wooden table, the chairs, all the candles, really pro seance thing that he had going there in the lobby of the Glen Tavern Inn during the evening. As part of his job there at the Glen Tavern Inn, he was given a really nice room just outside of the inn on this little two-story building. He had the top floor. And the video you see today is performed in that apartment after he was found self-unalived in his bedroom. And there's different things. There's like stacks of books around and things like that, like it's getting cleared out, so it's kind of somewhat in disarray there. But we gathered there one night at request of Roseanne. Roseanne is the owner of the Glen Tavern Inn, and she is the woman sitting directly across from me, long dark hair. At the beginning of this contact session, we did a few, I guess you could call them ritual preparations, cleansing, and making sure that we're seeking positivity. Everybody had their little say to speak to Patrick as they went around in a circle, saying how, we hope you're okay and we miss you and that sort of thing. And then I turned the equipment on. We started asking questions. One of the first questions I asked was, Patrick, can you audibly state the name of one person here in attendance? And he clearly came across and said, Roseanne, which is an unusual name, and you could see Roseanne's reaction. She was put aback and like, oh my God, he said my name. We continued the questioning, and the girl next to me, the blonde, it was her turn to ask questions. And she said, Patrick, are you okay? Are things okay with you? And it was an affirmative answer. It was like, yeah, but it was not really that clear. And then her follow-up question was, is that a yes? And then Patrick said, uh-huh. And then Roseanne again had an extreme reaction because that was one of his quirks. If you would ask him a question, hey, do you think you'll be available this Friday? Uh-huh. That was one of his big things that he always said. And that was a pretty good confirmation that we did have contact. And at the end of the session, I closed it down. In my mind's eye, I saw him leaving. He was exiting this reality. To me, it looked like an older boat, like a wooden type boat, sailing boat on an ocean. It was a fairly calm ocean, and he was sailing straight away into the distance. And I told Roseanne, I said, Roseanne, Patrick's not here anymore. He moved on. And that's the psychic impression I had of this contact session. So here it is. It's relatively short, and I hope you find it interesting. I've been involved with paranormal for 20 years, and immediately people go, well, that's dark, and that's a cult, and it must be evil. I have a good heart. I have good intention. My intent was to help, assist, do whatever I could for people as a neutral party. I never asked anybody to go into the light or anything like that. It's not my business. So anyway, here's an example of what I did over the years. And this is the Glen Tavern Inn, Santa Paula, 2015. Have a good week, everyone.
Please
do we say the name of one person in this room in a minute? Continue the question.
I just need to know that you're fine. I'm always worried about you, and I always cared for you. I need to know you're fine.
Patrick, I miss you. I wanted to know if you're happy. Are you happy? Is that a yes? I'm very happy for you, Patrick. I truly love you and I miss you. And I'm glad you're doing okay.
Patrick, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I thank everyone for gathering here in this remembrance. It's meaningful, and we all miss our beloved Patrick very much. And we will conclude the session here. Thank you again.
Oh, man.